So, if you haven't discovered it, I've got a playlist called something to the effect of book recommendations. And I thought I would add one to that series regarding this book that is physically one of the most beautiful books I've ever had. It's called The Chime of Windbells, A Year of Japanese Haiku in English Verse, Translations with an Essay by Harold Stewart. Now, again, physically, the book is beautiful. I can just show you this version of it without the case that it comes in. But again, the pages are lovely, and there are drawings throughout the book that are just beautiful. And of course, he has many, many haiku in here by famous haiku poets, including many who are Buddhist. And the essay that he has in here is a description of many of the schools of Buddhism. And his description in here of the Pure Land School was a key factor in me learning more about Jodo Shinshu or Shin Buddhism and also becoming a Shin Buddhist. He has sections also on esoteric Buddhism, on Tendai Buddhism, on Zen Buddhism, etc. So I think you might find it quite interesting. It was published by Charles E. Tuttle Company in Tokyo, Japan, and that would have been back in 1969. But I think you can probably get a copy. I think I paid $10 for this one, so that's quite reasonable, for a used book. He breaks the haiku down into the seasons of the year: spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and then again has essay sections on Shinto, Taoism and Confucianism, Hinayana Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, including Hosso and Keiganshu, Tendaishu, Shinganshu, Jodoshu, and Shinshu. It's just a treasure trove, and I also have noted that Harold Stewart helped to translate some of the scriptures in the BDK America series. But what I'll do here is just maybe recite a couple of the haiku that I find to be particularly noteworthy as being relevant to Buddhism. This haiku by Shiki is entitled The Student, and it goes, 10 years of study, sickness, penury, one threadbare blanket brings it home to me. Hikaku writes, Great Buddha sits while cherry petals blow, filling his lap of bronze with faint pink show. Joso writes, Snow has obliterated all from sight. Mountain and moor are now a world of white. And Stewart references that one as being connected to Shunyata, or the void. Kubutsu writes, The baby, open-mouthed, beholds a chase of falling cherry petals. Buddha's face. Ho says, The sun shower, mirrored in a globe of rain, hangs for one moment, never seen again. And of course, the fundamental notion within Buddhism is impermanence. So Busan says, Glimpsed through a crevice in the garden fence, one white flower is spring's impermanence. One of the key images within Buddhism is the lotus flower. And of course, the lotus grows in the mud but becomes a beautiful flower. And we all are embedded, so to speak, within the mud of our passions, our greed, our hatred, our ignorance. But we can transcend some of that through the practice of the Buddha Dharma. So here we have the haiku that says, The snowy lotus bloom, it does not spurn birth from the mud to which its seeds return. And of course, Avalokiteshvara, or Kuan Yin, or in Japan, Kannon, the regarder of the cries of the world, he/she is the embodiment of infinite compassion. And Ho says, Kannon, with endless giving night and day, has worn 1,000 wooden hands away. And Stewart comments, by the way, that the iconographic form here mentioned is the Senju Kannon, or Avalokita, of the 1,000 arms, with an eye in the palm of each hand to see and save those preta, or hungry ghosts, who call upon his name. In the Koryuji, a temple in Uzumasa, Kyoto, there is a statue such as this, which is so ancient that its hands have all been lost and its arms worn down to wooden stumps. For centuries it has given, selflessly and without stint, deep, unconditional consolation to its devotees, reminding them of the infinite compassion of the Bodhisattva. Through contemplation of the iconographic canon, the anonymous craftsman was inspired by the Bodhisattva himself to carve a statue of Kannon that would radiate the spiritual comfort of Karuna, which is great compassion. The humility and patience of the wood allowed the sculptor, dedicated to his craft as a source of grace, to embody in the material form of the image such compassion that it can still faithfully communicate its charismatic message and move the heart 1,000 years later. And here's a reference by Issa to Jizo, or Earth Store Bodhisattva, who goes into the hells to save beings and also is the protector of travelers and women and children. Issa says, "For others' sake, the stone Jizo remains standing outdoors through all the winter rains." And of course, one of the main forms of Jizo statues is these stone statues that were placed in various places in Japan, typically at crossroads and in cemeteries. Here's another about Jizo. Pink hollyhocks. Against the stone Jizo, a ginger cat is rubbing to and fro. Kakai writes, "I bowed before the Buddha, now obscure, now bright with lightning on the stormy moor." And Basho, a famous poet, writes, "The gloomy storm clouds crumble, and behold, the mountains in the moonlight, clear and cold." Here's one about chanting a sutra by Hyoruko. "Chanting a sutra, I am straightway blessed. The morning glories reach their loveliest." Now, as we get into the section on Jodoshu or Jodoshinshu, we hear this haiku that says, "We roam about this touchwood world of ours, which forms the roof of hell, admiring flowers." And this one references Amida. "A butterfly on the gilded lotus flower hears of rebirth through Amitabha's power." And in this one by Issa, he focuses on the key dynamic in Shin Buddhism, which is faith, when he says, "Simply have faith. Let all attachments go. Do not blossoms scatter, even so?" And I'll end with one by Issa that I can very much relate to when he writes, "A moonlit night, we few assorted cranks, fogies and half-wits, call the name with thanks. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu."